Imagine stepping into a monochrome world where light is both salvation and punishment, where birds are forced into the shadows, and where a single silent girl tries to outrun an entire industrial society determined to crush her. Welcome to White Shadows. White Shadows is one of those rare games that quietly released, vanished into the crowded indie space, and then stuck around in the hearts of the people who actually found it. It's the debut and so far the only game from German studio Monokel. But honestly, for me, it stands right beside Limbo and Inside as a spiritual third entry in that lineage. Not by imitation, but by mood, by craft, and by courage. Today we're diving into what makes White Shadows special, why it still holds up in 2025, and why it might just become one of your personal favourite games like it did for me. White Shadows released back in 2021, developed by Monokel and published by Thunderful. It's a cinematic puzzle platformer, 2D movement, 3D worlds, and an obsession with lighting and architecture. If Limbo is the quiet nightmare and Inside is the surreal conspiracy, White Shadows is the industrial fable, a dystopian society delivered entirely in black and white and the occasional violent burst of brightness. It's short, around 2 to 3 hours, but dense, memorable, and visually stunning. You play as Raven Girl, a small, fragile, bird-like child living in a society where animals are absolutely not equal. Despite the propaganda plastered everywhere, the hierarchy is clear. Pigs rule, wolves enforce, rats survive, and, well, birds are the lowest of the low. The game doesn't use voice acting, and dialogue is nearly non-existent. Instead, the world tells the story. Enormous neon signs bark propaganda, factories churn out noise and misery, giant shadowy structures dwarf you as you run beneath them. The game trusts you to piece together things through symbolic imagery, oppressive architecture, and the silent reactions of this tiny protagonist. Your journey begins with escape, pure instinctive escape, and quickly becomes something bigger. You're not just running from danger, you're running towards truth, towards identity, towards light. And throughout that journey, White Shadows constantly forces you to witness the injustices of its world, not with gore, but with implications, with contrast, with silence. It's a story told through stagecraft, a playable parable wrapped in dystopian theatre. Raven Girl is your primary lens into the world. She doesn't speak, but she doesn't need to. Her silhouette, her animations, her small flinches of movement, of determination say more than any dialogue could. Then you have the society itself, which is almost a character of its own. The pigs who dominate the upper class, the wolf police who enforce the rules, and the nameless workers grinding through the endless routines. These aren't deep characters in a traditional sense, but they're powerful symbols. White Shadows is an allegory, and everyone you meet or even just run past serves a symbolic purpose. That makes the world feel alive, judgmental, and hostile without ever needing a single spoken line. This game doesn't hide its themes. In fact, it puts them on giant neon signs the size of buildings. Oppression, racism, inequality, propaganda. White Shadows uses visual metaphor to explore these ideas in ways that feel bold, sometimes blunt, and often uncomfortable, and intentionally so. The tone is bleak but mesmerizing. Everything is exaggerated. The machinery is too big. The hallway is too long. The light's too bright. It's dystopia as spectacle. Art direction drives mood, shadows swallow entire buildings, and beams of light feel like physical weapons. And yet there's a strange beauty to it all, the kind of beauty where you stop, not because the world is safe, but because it's breathtaking. If Limbo was minimalistic horror and Inside was oppressive paranoia, then White Shadows is industrial despair, with a thread of fragile hope running through it. The opening hour gently onboards you. You move left and right, jump, grab, pull, and hide. Nothing is demanding because the real goal is immersion. The world is the tutorial. You learn the rules by observing how the environment reacts to you. The early gameplay is all about tension, scale, and atmosphere. You're small, the world is massive, and that imbalance is the point. In the mid-game, this is where the game hits its stride. Hazards become more frequent, stealth sequences require timing and patience, light beams become deadly obstacles. You get tighter platforming segments, factory machinery to navigate, and moments where the game cleverly uses crowds or movement to hide you. Nothing is overly complex. This isn't a puzzle-heavy title, but the pacing sharpens. You see more of the society, more of the hypocrisy, and more of Raven Girl's vulnerability. This middle stretch is also where the game's art direction goes absolutely wild. massive set pieces, dizzying scale, and visual storytelling that feels handcrafted. The late game moves towards the finale. Tone shifts from curiosity to confrontation. Movement becomes more urgent. The set pieces get bolder. The themes grow louder. And while it won't spoil anything, the final stretch is one of those sequences where the game commits fully to its message. Whether you agree with the message or not, it sticks with you. The game ends quickly, decisively, and thematically, the way a short film would. No filler, no padding, just the moment and then silence. So why does it stand out? The black and white aesthetic isn't a gimmick, it's the identity of the entire game. Lighting is everything. Shadows are characters. Every frame could be a screenshot. Sound and music, from industrial ambience to unexpected classical pieces, the soundscape is theatrical. Audio is used with intention, sometimes loud, sometimes painfully quiet. The symbolism. The game isn't afraid to be bold. It uses metaphor like a sledgehammer at times, but always purposefully. It wants you to think, and it doesn't apologize for making you uncomfortable. White Shadows doesn't waste time. It's 2 to 3 hours of distilled atmosphere, no collectibles, no backtracking, no bloat, just pure controlled vision. If you loved Limbo or Inside, stop what you're doing and play White Shadows. This is the closest a game has come to capturing that same eerie, symbolic, wordless storytelling without feeling like a rip-off. If you appreciate games that challenge visually, emotionally, or thematically, this will resonate. If you want combat systems, RPG mechanics, or replay value, you won't find that here. But if you're here for art, allegory, and atmosphere, this is one of the most memorable indie experiences of the last decade. White Shadows isn't just a game, it's a visual statement, a dark fable about society, cruelty, and hope, told through shadows and light rather than words. For me, it absolutely earns its place beside Limbo and Inside, maybe even surpasses them in some moments. And the fact that this is Monochel's first and so far only game, that makes it feel even more like a hidden treasure. If you've never played White Shadows, or if you've been craving something in that atmospheric, haunting lineage, give it a chance. It might just become one of your personal favourites too. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay curious, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next one.